This is the Waupaca County Board of Supervisors meeting.
Okay, welcome and good morning, everyone.
Morning.
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 Morning. I will call this Waupaca County Board of Supervisors meeting to order. It's Tuesday, February 16th. It is about 9 a.m. And roll call, please.
Vasquez.
Here.
Boyer. Supervisor Boyer.
Here.
Supervisor Mary Craig. Here. Supervisor Patricia Craig. Here. Ellis.
Here.
Fedowitz is excused today. Golding. Here. Hardy. Here. Yeager.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Keppen.
Here.
Kussman.
Here.
Lear. Here. McClone.
Here.
Morak.
Here.
Muck.
Here.
Gerald Murphy.
Here.
Terry Murphy.
Here.
Newman.
Here.
Nygaard.
Here.
Holman. Here. Ritchie.
Here.
Rowan.
Here.
Spearings.
Here.
Wengelski.
Here.
Will.
Here.
Zog.
Here.
Shows that we have 26 members present, 6 via Zoom. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Joe. Has the open meeting statement been fulfilled?
It has.
Thank you. Please stand for silent meditation of pledge of the flag. Pledge allegiance.
To the flag
The United
States of America and to the republic
which stands
one nation
under God,
indivisible
with liberty and justice.
liberty and justice.
Thank you very much. And due to COVID-19, this meeting is conducted under the Waupaca County Resolution Number 8, 2020-2021, and Governor Evers Emergency Order Number 1. Today, when we make a motion, something we'd like to start now. I mentioned that finance, that I belong to a lot of committees and East Side Region Planning, 2 and Wisconsin Counties Association, a couple there. And when we make a motion from all around the room, or even when we on the computer, whoever wants to make a motion, if it's me, I see. Kevin makes a motion to approve. And then if it's Dave Newman says, I second it. So it's easier for myself and Jill, since I'm sitting on the same level now. People block people and my mind isn't 21 again. It's a good thing it isn't. You laughing at, Fred? So we're going to do it that way. It works so well in all the other committees I'm on around Wisconsin. So with that being said, we'll see how it works right now.
If I can interrupt,
Yes.
sir, I'd like to ask if the board would amend the agenda. There was an error on item E. It was listed as a zoning map amendment from a PVRF, but it is actually an AR district. It's still going into an AWT, and the updated information, it will be on screen for you. And it's also in the more section. So if the first approval could be to amend the agenda to make that correction on 8E.
And then after to approve the amendment agenda, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Nygaard makes a motion to approve the amended agenda to reflect the correct wording.
Thank you, Jim. There's a motion by Nygaard to amend, and a second by Dennis Kussman. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Was that an opposed or is that a delayed aye on the approved from the Zoom personnel?
Hey,
They are in
Okay, I'll try to go a little slower.
we have a lot on today on Zoom.
So that motion is carried. Now we need a motion to approve the amended agenda. Mark, there's a motion by Mark for approval
Second by Mark.
and a second by Mark. Any questions or discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we're at the minutes right now, number 6 of January 19th, 2021. We'd like a motion for approval. The motion by Supervisor Lair
Mark, second.
and a second by Zog. Any questions regarding that issue? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, we go down to resolutions. Number 7. 7A, number 44, 2020-2021, Park and Rec 5-year plan.
Make a motion to approve.
Can do that, then you can give a report after.
That's okay. I didn't see him.
In fact, I like your way better, Joe. You want to make a motion for
Sure, I'll
approval?
make that motion to approve.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Spirit,
Second by Spears. Thank you, Jack. Okay, now we can get something to.
All right. Hello, for those that don't know me, my name is John Francis. I'm the Parks and Solid Waste Director. I guess I can keep this up. But just wanted to just give you a couple highlights of our plan and why we do it every 5 years. Basically, it allows us to qualify for funding for grant programs like stewardship and whatnot. So if we need to do a boat launch or whatever, we have to have a plan in place that says something about, you know,
I got voice, that's fine.
launch and it's, you know, we want to maintain it or whatever. So you don't have to have things spelled out specifically in there for the grants, but you do have to have something in there that says this is something you're interested in doing. If it's out of the loop, something completely new that we don't have anything mentioned about, then we have to amend the plan before we can apply for these grants, or we won't qualify. So, but as far as a planning tool, this plan, which is on our website, the county parks website, on the sidebar, you can look at the old plan and the draft new plan. They're very similar. I was talking to Supervisor Craig this morning. If you look through, what we have in there is basically a listing of all the county parks and trails and whatnot that we operate. It's not a all encompassing. We don't have all the township parks. We don't have all the city parks and stuff in there. Some places do that. This is a pretty simplified version. So we basically have all the county parks in there listed. And then under each county park, we have what is there. And as far as the size of the park, any facilities that might be there, whether there's restrooms, you know, launches, things like that. And then we have a section that says recommendations for the future. So in there, we throw in things, some of them, you know, a little postage stamp, access to the water. There's really nothing you could do there in the future, even if you wanted to develop something, there's no room. So we just say there's really nothing else to do. It's just about water access. But some of them, you know, the bigger parks like Camp Victory or something, there's all sorts of possibilities that could happen out there. So we list out some things, not saying we're going to do all those, but it's, this could happen there, that could happen there. So it's a place to kind of brainstorm a little and put ideas out there. And then with the last version of this plan and this one, we added a section that talks about other recreational opportunities that may or may not be provided for within our park system. So on the plan that's on the website, we have an attachment section from the statewide comprehensive outdoor rec plan, which lists all the popular activities out there, like bird watching, canoeing, bicycling, all that sort of thing. And it lists them in rank of popularity and whether they're trending up or trending down. So that gives us an opportunity to kind of look at those things that are happening, what people are looking for, and are we providing for that in our counties? So we threw some categories in there like mountain bike trails, ski and snow trails, disc golf, things like that, that we may not provide for, but in the future, if the opportunity presents itself, maybe that's something we look at doing. So that's in there. And new to this plan, we added a little section called Park Committee Priority Projects. And basically that makes this more from a possibilities plan into more of an action plan. Now, just because we have something in there that says we're going to do this, we'd like to push towards that, things change. You know, something happens where you can't do that, or it's not the right time or something like that. So it may not get done, but it's something the park committee felt was important and wants to strive towards completing. So that being said, if an opportunity comes up for one of these other things in the plan that's on this priority list might change. You know, so there's a possibility that we get a really good opportunity to buy a chunk of land to make an ATV park or something, you know, that people are asking for. So you always got to be flexible. And that's what this plan gives us, is the flexibility to do that. And as far as it being useful, it's also useful to other municipalities and towns and whatnot within the county. If they don't have their own outdoor rec plan and they're applying for a grant for some project, like a trail project or whatever, they can reference our plan and say, hey, the county says they need more trails within the county. We're trying to provide this, and then they will qualify for these grants. So I guess with that, that's kind of my overview. Does anybody have any questions on this?
Yes.
Having been on the Parks Committee my first 2 years being on the county board, I was totally excited when Roger Holman, the former director, took us to the north half of the county, and we saw all the different things that Waupaca County had for parks. And then on the fall tour, he took us to the south half. And I would encourage all of the new supervisors who haven't seen or aren't familiar with some of our counties to go visit them this summer, not necessarily now, but this summer, because it's really interesting, the various properties we have, including like your county forest that you had a special meeting to see, did you want to do ATV, UTV trails? And if I had never been on that committee, I could look it up on a plat book and see, here's these acreage. But once you get there and you see what it really is, you know more of what John is talking about right now. So I encourage everybody to go to the website, look it up. He's got a picture there so that you get an idea of what it is and how it is. And I'm assuming there's always, if you have a road tour, anyone can join you for that.
Sure, yeah. The last few years we haven't done anything like that, but yeah, it's it would be helpful, I think, for especially folks. There's a lot of places, you know, a lot of people don't know anything about Keller Park up there, you know, and in my mind, it's like a little state park, you know, it's just a beautiful place. Can't imagine what, if you live in this area and you haven't been there, you should go check it out sometime, you know, and that's one of the areas that we're trying to improve in the future here as far as getting some more trails, because quite a few years back, we bought some more property next to it, and we'd like to eventually add to that. The entire road around the lake isn't on county property. There's a section that goes through private property, you know, it's nice to have that and solidified eventually, but yeah, check it out. There's pretty neat stuff out there. You know, if you go through the list of what we have, you can kind of, oh, I've never heard of that one. Go drive by, check it out. So.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yes.
A question, but I want to commend John. I heard this yesterday in the meeting. How wonderful the fairgrounds.
That's where I was.
For helping us out with this COVID-19, etc. John, I don't know if anybody else pats you on the back, but I look up to you for what you've done.
Well, we're fortunate, and there again, it's something that this body has focused on is the county fairgrounds. It's a big chunk of what we do with the Parks Department. We got that grandstand pavilion building. It just happened to work out really good for those drive-through testing clinics and stuff, you know, so anytime we can help out with something like that, that's great, so.
Anybody else for a question? Yes, not. Thank you very much, and we're lucky to have you.
Thank you.
We have a motion by McClone and a second by Spearman.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried unanimously. 7B, resolution number 45, 2020-21, grant funding allocation, LWCD.
Now therefore be it resolved that the 2021 Land and Water Conservation Department budget is amended, allocating $74,750 to the personal service to fund a new watershed technician position dependent on the continuation of a grant funding. And now there be it further resolved that in the 2021 Land and Water Conservation Department budget is amended, allocating $364,448 to grants and contributions to fund TRM cost share agreement.
There a motion for approval?
Supervisor Hardy?
Yes. Motion by Supervisor Hardy for approval. Do we have a second?
Johnson, second.
And a second by Mr. Dave Johnson. Any questions or discussion? None. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Let us go to ordinances number 8. Excuse me. Amend chapter 3, fair and open housing.
This is a correction just because it was noted that when this was originally passed in 2012, there was actually one number missing in the statute number. It should have read sections 1.06, I'm sorry, 106.5, and it read 06.50. So it is just a correction in this ordinance so that we can move through the grant funding.
Motion by Mr. Gerald Murphy
Yeah, second by Mr. Terry Murphy.
and second by Mr. Terry Murphy. Murphy brothers. Any questions or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion is carried and it is approved. Item B, amend chapter 7.04, speed restriction in County X.
According to the amendment, the speed limit on County Trunk Highway X, also named West Wolf River Avenue, on 25 miles per hour will begin at Oshkosh Street to the western city limits in New London on County Trunk Highway X, which is approximately 0.50 miles.
Motion by Mr. Zog,
Seconded by Nygaard.
second by Nygaard. Questions or discussion? Yes, Supervisor Craig.
I listened to this on the highway committee, Zoom or YouTube or whatever, and they agreed to go along with what the city of New London wanted. And while I understand it, I also listened to some of the comments that were made. And as a person who travels that road, and I stick to the speed limit there, it's very hard when you have had something to go from 35 to 25. And to me, it turns into, it happened in Royalton and it turned into a speed trap where people continue to go 35. So I will be voting no on this because I think 35 miles an hour is entirely appropriate for that section. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Supervisor Zog.
The reason that was brought up by the city council is because of the big thing, traffic congestion during the Waupaca run of Riverside Park, which starts right at the city limits. second thing, right across the street, Riverside Park, is the wastewater treatment plant. About a half block down the street is the county garage. Right next to that is one of the school district's bus area. We're also putting a flashing yellow light and a sign that says for the people, bus drivers, because they park on one side of the river rather than going across the other side. So what precipitated the whole thing was the congestion during the walleye run all summer with the fishing season. And plus the other three entities, the school district's busing and the county garage and the wastewater treatment plant, there's a lot of in and out traffic all day.
Supervisors, McClellan?
I totally support what Mr. Zog said, but I also want everybody aware that the city or the school district of New London purchases their gas from the county highway department. So those buses go into the highway department for fuel every day. Just to give you an idea, so there's that much more traffic in that little area. I totally support that. It's a safety concern. That's what it is. We won't speed trap that, honestly.
Maybe some of us are just in a hurry to get to the waters. I don't know.
Can I ask how many accidents occurred in that stretch?
They did, if I may speak, Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
they did a survey, the police department did, because the state required that originally. And the last fatal accident was, I believe, 20 years ago or something like that. Other fender benders, I don't know, a couple, 2, 3. It's not the big concern, it's just because of the congestion and all the activity.
Any other questions? Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried with 1 nay. Item 721, amendment to chapter 34, petition number Z-002-21, Town of Royalton. Bear Lake Campground, Inc. for a zoning map amendment from a PURF district to AWT district on approximately 25.63 acres.
Yeah, so morning. So the Bear Lake Campground is looking to rezone their northern portion there from the PURF, which is our public recreation and forestry, more commonly used for DNR lands. What they're looking at doing is rezoning it so that matches the property to their south, which is currently zoned AWT. So they're rezoning this from the PURF to the AWT so that they're consistent zoning.
Johnson, Supervisor Johnson makes a motion to approve.
Craig seconds.
And Supervisor Craig seconded it. Questions or discussion? Seeing none, yes.
What are their plans for that? Have they said what they're going to?
Well, they're not making any changes to the northern portion, but they are making an expansion to the southern portion. And that's already gone through the process. That's part of precipitated this whole thing, is that they did apply for a conditional use permit for the expansion of their campground to that southern parcel, which has been approved by the Planning and Zoning Committee.
I was wondering if that's what they're going to do. Thank you.
Yep, you bet.
Anyone else? So all in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion's carried.
Did you say Boyer?
No, he said motion carried, sorry.
Okay, here we got item D, 2020-722, amendment to chapter 34, petition number Z-003-21, Town of Little Wolf, Mickey J. and Cassandra L. Pagel for zoning map amendment from the AE district to the AWT district on approximately 10 acres for a boundary line adjustment.
So that about sums it up. That's really what they're looking for. They're looking to do a boundary line adjustment. They're going to be readjusting a line that bisects that parcel straight. They're going to be taking it north and kind of jogging over a little bit to the west. And in order to be able to do that, they first need to have the same zoning districts on both sides. So that's why they're looking at going from the AG Enterprise to the AWT.
Motion by Chris. The motion by Dennis Kutzman for approval. Second by Mr. Wangowski. Questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That motion is carried. Okay. Item E, 2020-723, amendment to chapter 34, petition number Z-004-21, Town of Matson, Michael J. Scheid for zoning map amendment from PR.
Actually, that's the one that changed to AR. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
From AR district to AWT district.
AR, yeah, okay. You heard what she said.
Sorry.
So again, sorry about the mix-up. That was, as you can see from the map here, they are actually zoned egg retention or AR. So what they're looking at doing is they're looking at including that parcel you see that's highlighted there. They're looking to rezone that from the egg retention to AWT to allow for a boundary line adjustment to incorporate that parcel to the parcel to the north. This is where Mr. Scheid lives. Again, you need to have the same zoning district in order to be able to do that.
Zog moves to approve.
Zog move to approve. Do we have a second in order? Second by Supervisor Laird. Yes.
What do they intend to do with it that they need that chunk?
I don't know that there's any intention beyond they want to include it. This parcel, hard to see because of it's also farm preservation, so you can't see it, but there's a line of trees that go along here.
Okay.
And so it was one of those deals where I think they all felt that Mr. Scheid felt that his property was a little bit further south than what it actually was. And so he contacted his neighbor and said, hey, is there a way that we can incorporate that? Because there's a bunch of trees planted there from years ago.
Thank you.
Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion is carried. Thank you. Sorry, we're not going to see you in Milwaukee this year, Mr. Brown.
I'll make do.
Okay. Okay, reports. Heidi is on her way up. She'll talk about it. We find saying financing 5970-000 principal balance. I'll let her discuss.
Good morning. I just want to give you a
20 seconds of each.
the March county board meeting will be asking for action by the county board. So kind of want to give you a background of what we're looking to do. We are looking to refund our 2014 general outstanding promissory notes and refinance with the bank, with First State Bank. And the reason being that we've been looking at these as interest rates are dropping on debt. We have been looking with the financial advisors to see if it makes sense to go out to market based upon on the interest rates. But ultimately, going back out to the bond market just with the cost of issuance did not make sense. So County Treasurer Mark Sever reached out to his local bank contacts, and First State Bank came in with a 0.89% interest rate on the remaining outstanding debt. We will be making a principal payment on March 1st. That will bring that outstanding debt on that issuance to $5,970,000. So on February 23rd, First State Bank will be seeking their board approval to go ahead and issue that debt service for Waupaca County. Once that is approved at the bank level. We will be reaching out to Ellers, our financial advisors, along with Quarles and Brady, our bond counsel, and they will begin proceeding with preparing the necessary documents to make this happen, which then on March 16th, we'll be coming to you with resolutions to redeem the 2014 A notes and then also to authorize us to issue debt with First State Bank. Then once that has occurred, Ellers will reach out to DTC to notify them that we'll be paying off those bonds effective for April 20th, 2021. So we'll draw the loan down from First State Bank on April 13th and we'll redeem those notes on April 20th. So that is our intention at this time. Again, pending approval at the bank level and therefore to move forward. As you can see at the bottom half of the page I put on your desk, we're actually going to use the 2021 budgeted tax levy to also reduce the principal balance on that. So overall, we're going to be issuing debt service for about $5,954,386.91. And then we'll be utilizing the remaining tax levy in the debt service fund to issue for the municipal advisors of $5,000. Bond counsel will cost $11,750, and then we'll pay off the $5,970,000 notes, and then we'll have about $19,703 left in interest from the March 1st payment to the time that we redeem those notes. On the back side of your sheet, kind of shows you this in more detail, but ultimately this will, over the next 3 years, save the taxpayers about $175,250, $58,416 per year for 2022, 23, and 24. If you remember, while when we adopted the 2021 budget, we utilized our full capacity. So this will be reduce our debt service levy 100%. So this will go directly onto the taxpayers' tax bill for 2022, 23, and 24. The only way that that would change is if we would issue debt for some other reason. But at this point, that would be a direct savings. So I'm just here to give you a report, ask any questions that you might ask, because we will be asking for action at the March County Board meeting.
So, here we are. Have any questions for Heidi? Now's the time. So did you say your actual interest rate would be?
Right, the interest rate, if you look on the back side of your sheet, the outstanding debt that we have right now, the 2022 is at 2%, the 2023 is at 2.25, and the 2024 is at 3%. As you go down to the second half, we're at 0.89% for all three payments for the, so it reduces the interest significantly. And then we're also, as you can see there, we're going to buy down that principal a little bit by $15,613. So we're reducing the principal balance through this transaction.
Now, are there any questions or comments? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We have our district attorney, Veronica Sherwood, going to give her report.
I wonder if she got caught up somewhere. I talked to her yesterday.
Well, let's go down to Mr. Myersdorf, Highway Department.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
set up here a little bit. We brought some props, so give us just a couple seconds here.
Would you like it on the carport, or you want it to be pinned on the props? For the Zoom people.
You can just start with myself, Jill, because I'm going to use an analogy of an ice fishing tip up and how it relates to the Waupaca County Highway Department. I figured the season fits, and so we'll talk a little bit more about it. So, start off with a few introductions before we get rolling, though. So again, my name is Casey Beiersdorf. I'm the Waupaca County Highway Commissioner. Fortunately, next month I'll have been with the county for 5 years. In this presentation or this report with me, I've got Nathan Gall. Nathan is a Fox Valley Tech student as an intern. And I'll let him introduce a little bit more about what he does and who he is. Nathan.
Hi, everyone. Appreciate all of you coming today. It is Tuesday morning. I am Nathan Gall. I am the intern here at Waupaca County with partnered up with Fox Valley Tech to make this possible. January 21st, I should say January 19th. I started, and this will go all the way to May 21st. The month of May is graduation. That means I get a degree in business management. From that, on the projector screen, you'll see that we've made you a presentation on the 2021 annual report for the Waupaca County Highway Department. With all that said, let's have the commissioner get underway with his presentation.
All right, thank you, Nathan. What I've got here is nothing more than just an ice fishing tip up. Rather simple. Purchased it from Fleet Farm, but I want to use it as an icebreaker in that this fishing tip up could, in a roundabout way, represent the Waupaca County Highway Department. Very, very simply. And so, how is that done? For instance, this flag. It's nothing more than just a red sheet of felt, but it could represent the performed public service that our highway department performs. It can be in a variety of ways. We can mow grass, we can plow snow, pave roads, perform LRIP projects, give advice to towns on what we do as a staff. But ultimately, we want to get this public service in the air and make it function. That's our goal. But along the way, in order to make that happen, we've got a lot of different things that need to occur. Like this rod, this pole. This pole could represent the equipment necessary to perform the work. Our graders, our bulldozers, our shovels, our pavers, all the different equipment that's necessary to provide that public service. The mechanical spring down here on the bottom, I say mechanical because we have to keep this equipment functioning and running and keeping it moving day in and day out, ready at any time, specifically, more specifically during snow plowing season. Then we look down into this great big red board that could represent the buildings that we occupy that house our equipment and our people, our materials, and it's a place for us to call home each and every morning, and which we leave from when we go home from work. This rod, the brass knob up here on top, that could represent the management staff that makes the decision when we should pull the trigger to have certain work or certain services performed. Inside of this little bearing here is grease. I know one day Supervisor Ellis mentioned that grease is nothing more than interest, but in this case, I want to use it as money that is necessary for our department to function, to buy materials, to pay for our equipment, to pay our employees that are with our department. This rod could represent our accounting staff, the other various departments within Waupaca County that support us. It's all connected in a roundabout way to perform this public service. The spool the spool could house or keep all the employees that we have within our department. As if you let them off the string, they're going to fly, but we have to have a location for them to receive guidance, which could be represented by this eye hook. It could be you, the county board, the ones that aim us in the right direction where we're trying to pull in the fish. Make sure that we're not off spooling ourselves and running off on a tangent. So then I don't have a line and I don't have a sinker or no bait or a hook on here. I just wanted to say that without one of these functioning pieces, we aren't able to provide the public service that's necessary or expected from our constituents and those that that travel through Waupaca County. So it's very important. And so our PowerPoint presentation, which probably will take here about 20-25 minutes, will kind of break down all the different components of what we do. So we'll get started with that. Nathan, you're going to be my clicker. Here's that.
If it doesn't work, just give me a heads up and I'll.
Very good. So our PowerPoint presentation starts off with a highway department report. We put 2021 on here as we may think that this may be something that's done more often, and then we can just modify our PowerPoint instead of recreating them every year. So this is located coming in from Waupaca County into Waupaca down on County Highway E. A few quick facts about our highway department. The quick facts are something that very generic, very general, but we have 572 lane miles of state highways that we maintain in Waupaca County. That's a lot of state roads, and a lane mile is traveling one direction only. We have 333 centerline miles of county roads, and so if you made that into lane miles, it'd be about 666 lane miles. I know we have very few four-laners. I think there's one in London right in front of Walmart, but we measure our centerline miles based off of how the DOT reimburses us. And so we have 333 legal reimbursable miles. We have 18 municipalities with our highway department that have service agreements, mowing grass, plowing snow, some road construction projects, very crucial part to our operations, composing at least of 1/3 of what we do annually. We have 106 bridges in Waupaca County. That's a compilation of what's on our villages, our town roads, and our county roads only. We have 33 county bridges. Of that, the rest of them 106 are villages and towns. We maintain and watch over, have oversight of 42 bridges on our state system, which is quite significant. Waupaca County, as you know, has a lot of water in it, a lot of rivers, hence comes along with a lot of bridges. We maintain somewhere between 25 to 30,000 signs in Waupaca County, not only on our county system, our state system, but also with all the services we have with municipalities. We may not plow snow for some of them, but yet they still have service agreements for our sign department to help them fix stop signs or go through annually and update them as they get older. We maintain 438 pieces of equipment, and it doesn't mean we have 438 trucks. That's a combination of trucks, graders, bulldozers, plows, and then it breaks it down more in particular to the wings that hang off the side of the trucks or the salt spreader that hangs off the back. Altogether, the state recognizes that Waupaca County has 438 different pieces of equipment, some very large, some very small. Another quick fact, state highways, as you know, are named after numbers. County roads are named after letters, and our municipal roads are I should say our villages and our towns, our cities, they have named roads. So if you end up on Highway 110, you know you're on a state road. Some people don't know that. They think that when they pick up the phone and say, hey, you're on Larson Road, you need to come and plow it. Well, that really isn't the jurisdiction of us. So just breaking them little bitty things apart in our quick facts I thought was important. Some numbers from our 2019 financial report. We performed roughly $2.4 million worth of work on our state highways. On our county roads, as far as capital projects, we perform roughly $3.5 million worth of construction, asphalt paving, your big work. We have $1.6 million worth of maintenance we performed on our county system. In addition to that, we budgeted $1.5 million for winter maintenance. Some years are greater, some years are less. Taking a 5-year average, we budget, all right, this is what we spent. January 1st to December 31st, what should we project to set aside for winter maintenance? Marketing and signing departments, just shy of $200,000 worth of work performed. And our bridges is about $55,000 worth of work for just maintaining our county bridges. A lot of these numbers isn't what we're buying roads or buying material. These are also numbers that reflect paying our employees. So this is the dollars that ensure that we have enough dollars to pay our staff of 70. Municipalities in 2019 had roughly $3.4 million worth of work for our highway department. That's about 1/3 of the balloon that keeps us floating. Our equipment's valued at about $8 million. And so on our books, that 438 pieces of equipment is roughly about $8 million in value right now. If you were to look at what it was new, you're pushing numbers higher than 8 million. I think it's almost double. We have a vision statement, and so we build and maintain a quality transportation system for our county employees, for our county constituents, and for the people that pass through Waupaca County. So we have that. Next, I'd like to just introduce a few of my critical staff. I brought them along today because I couldn't do it alone. By no means do any big operation can be done alone. And in this group here, I'm missing my equipment and facilities superintendent, Mark Korth. He's busy today. And then also Kyle Fisher. He's one of my engineering specialists. In addition, I've got Greg Floor. Greg is our winter maintenance operations manager. He oversees the day-to-day operations. He's forecasting what's going to happen within the next week or within the next month. He's coordinating with townships, and he has to have help with that. So next to him, he's got Henry Mitchell. Henry's been with our department for what, 2 years, 3 years? And together, them two guys are brilliantly making our highway department look phenomenally awesome. I can't say enough about either one of their workmanship, what they do for Waupaca County, and I'm fortunate to have stepped into Waupaca County with Greg already here, having the knowledge and experience of how Waupaca operates, because by no means did I know. And Hank, he comes from Winnebago County. As an operator, worked his way up through the ranks, and we're fortunate to have him in Waupaca. And then sitting left seat, right seat with me every day in our office is our office manager, accountant office manager, Chris Carlin. She is one that helps me put together books. She gets more in depth with highway committee reports, along with other employees that we have in our office. Sue Popham, she helps me a lot. So I just thought it was important to put a few faces with the critical staff that help run our highway department, because towns may see these faces more often. So thank you, guys. Go back. In addition to the people in orange, we are structured in that we have a committee, and the committee is either here or it's on Zoom. Then the people in orange are the ones I brought up. Them are my salaried staff. We've got 6 of us, including myself as highway commissioner. And then below us, we're structured so that we're built like an army with a chain of command, and we've got foremen and we've got accountants, and it's pretty cool. Next. Our highway committee is composed of the current members on this screen. Joe McClone is our chair. Lee Muck, sitting on the other side of the room, is our vice chair. We've got Fred Zog here in the audience. He's a highway committee member. And then on Zoom, we've got Mr. Dick Rohn and Mr. Jim Nygaard. Very well experienced before I got here. I don't think any of them are new to the county board. That's unique in that a highway commissioner could have a new county board member join their committee, and then it's my responsibility with the other experienced county board supervisors to bring them up to speed as to how we operate, how we function. Encouraging new ideas along the way, though. Next. So every 2 weeks, I meet with that highway committee, and I have to perform the roles and duties of highway commissioner. Some of the basic things that I do, I'm appointed by the county board. Some counties elect their highway commissioner. And here I interviewed for the position, and I am fortunate that it's not an elected position. I report to the highway committee. The highway committee sets the policies and procedures from which our department is supposed to function. So I don't set the policy, but I set how we're going to function and how we're going to get it done within the policy of the highway committee. Highway Commission has oversight of the construction and maintenance of the highways built and maintained within the county using county aid. I don't do that alone, but I'm ultimately responsible for every mailbox hit, everything that is good and bad. I like to share the good stuff and the bad stuff with my staff so that you don't get burnt out at the end of a season, and it could happen. So there's a lot of management involved in our staff. By state statute, I'm required to make an annual report to the highway committee.
Ed, you can make as much noise over there as you want.
And so if you're seeing an annual statement given to the county board, I believe I did it during last September, just because things get pushed back from COVID. I think I was deer hunting at the time, but that was the last report I had given. Next. We built the new highway facility, started it in 2000.
That was my fault. I switched you on. Sorry.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to be there.
So can you control it? So we have a new highway facility. The building is phenomenal. I can't explain enough how fortunate we are to have it, especially fortunate because the pandemic came and we were able to spread people out and still host stuff with the social distances not being so hard on our staff. We functioned through it. We've done good with this building, and we're so fortunate to have it. Out of this building, I've got our next photo of the staff. Roughly 38, 39 employees report to the Waupaca facility. This is where all of my administrative staff reports to. Mechanics, they all report to this building. Next. We have a new London facility. That's where we just adopted the speed zone reduction on County Highway X. And so the employees out of that, on this photo, there's roughly 11 or 12. Sometimes these shops will go up and down. Next. We have a facility located off State Highway 161. We call it our Helvetia Shop. This is the employees that function out of this facility. We have a facility located between Marion and Clintonville off US Highway 45. Here's a photo of these members. This picture was taken right before Mr. Steenbach, 40 years he retired. So we have a new foreman up at that facility now, Nick Thiel, who's doing a great job for our department. And then I can't forget that we have a facility located in Manaway. We call it the Manaway Yard. It's located off of County Yard Road. It's a good facility to have. It sits rather vacant and barren during the winter, but you wouldn't know that we house a lot of our construction equipment, paving equipment, stuff we don't use during the summer goes in a shed out there. And it's a good staging spot to put gravel, topsoil, just things you don't know where you're going to be able to fit it from a big job in a pinch. The Manaway Yard has been utilized for that. So centrally located in Waupaca County, so it's a benefit for its geographical location. We perform a lot of different services, and I could go through them over and over. Everything from administration, engineering, snow plowing, road construction. You can read the list of what we do and what we perform. It's by no means dress the same every day. We may mow the same section of highway year after year after year, and the following year, when you think it's going to be identical, it changes, and that's not necessarily my decision. Some of it may be due to the state making a different procedure and how much they want to spend. Maybe they don't want us to mow all the way back to the right of way. Maybe the next year they change their idea. There's a lot of different factors that come into what types of services we perform or how we perform an individual item. Our public service varies from the planning, designing, and construction of maintaining our highway system. We also maintain all the state systems. And we don't do that alone. We do that with state oversight and state guidance. We just can't make the decision every day on what we want to do. We're spending the state's money, so they have a hand in the game. And then our crews are geographically spread around Waupaca County in relation to response time. Why do we have a shop in Waupaca, Larrabee, Helvetia, New London? It's because when it snows, we want to be able to not have a snowplow drive from Waupaca to Clintonville to try to service that road. So it helps us not only for snowplowing, but disaster response, tornadoes, signs down, etc. A critical thing that is important is we service by the season. We just don't do the same widget every single day. What we do is primarily based off of spring, summer, fall, and winter. So in spring and summer, we focus on construction and paving. Our bridges are inspected biannually, typically in the summer. Sometimes they get into the fall. Our crack filling crews within our department, we like to crack fill during the winter or in the fall when construction's not at full bore. That seems to be a good filler for our department is to crack fill when you don't have big construction going on or there isn't any snow falling. So it's good work. Our fall months, we're wrapping up construction season and getting ready for the winter snow plowing. In the winter months, you can see us snow plowing, brush cutting, filling potholes. This last winter, we're in the very baby infancy steps of creating a wetland mitigation bank around the existing Lakeview Manor. So our crews did a lot of tree cutting out there this year. That'll be a whole nother briefing to give it at a later point. And I like to say when you're in the business of plowing snow, snow is good. These 438 pieces of equipment need to be chargeable in order to pay for them. They need to generate revenue. And so if I've got 13 employees that plow with 13 trucks that plow our county section and 13 on the state and roughly 19, 20 that plow into our towns, if it isn't snowing, guess where all of them employees are sitting? They're sitting on my county budget eating it. So I need to make sure that the state has work for us if it isn't going to snow. I need to make sure that the towns have work for us if it isn't going to snow. Reason being, them 70 employees would chew our budget up very, very fast if we weren't chargeable to the state and the towns. I wouldn't have that many employees. And another thing is we're available 24/7, but we operate with one shift. So our guys come in typically from 7 to 3:30 during the winter, and during the summers, we function typically from 6 to 4, Monday through Thursday. We do work some Fridays if construction is demanding enough. But we are a one shift crew available 24/7. And so my operations manager, Greg and Hank, they do a great job with managing the on-call rotation. The foremen share them duties a lot. It's 24/7. Next. Talk a little bit more about our county road system. Again, we have 333 centerline miles. We maintain 33 county-owned bridges. In a given year, our department likes to flip, and I would say flip is maybe not the right word, but if you're to say flip your house, you remodel it, you create a new house. And that's kind of what we're doing with our county road system is we have to have a capital rotation plan to flip or take old road and make new road every year about 11.1 miles. And so how do we come up with 11 miles that we try to fix or replace every year? It's because a road averaging is about lasting us 30 years. The pavement wears out, the subgrade fails, the ditches are filled in. We may not reconstruct 11.1 miles, but we like to at least try to aim for replacing the asphalt on it. Right now, we're just shy of it. we're doing 8 to 10 miles. And again, that all is determined based off of, are we replacing a 22-foot wide road, or are we replacing a more expensive 30-foot wide road? There's a decision we have to make early on in the steps of how wide these roads need to be, because at some point they're going to become more expensive as they become wider and wider. So, balancing maintenance and construction. Road construction is costing us somewhere about $1 million per mile. That's more for your 30-foot wide roads with 2 mats. We necessarily can't do that in a given year. So we'll put down 1 mat of asphalt and come back when we can afford to put the 2nd mat of asphalt on in a couple of years. And it's not ideal to let them go too long, but at least putting the asphalt down 1 year, which is typically done after our construction crews in the fall, will occur so that the spring can kind of shift and move and heave the road a little bit. Then when we put that surface mat on a year or 2 later, the road tends to not shift and move as much as it would have if we would have just put both mats on it right away. And it's all about soil disturbance. And then our pulverize and repave jobs, we've got some really bad roads and we've got some really good roads. The really bad ones coming up this year are on Highway O, Double O. We're planning for N, some box culverts. There's a section on Highway B just west of Ogdensburg. Them are getting pretty bad. And so we don't like just to go in and pulverize them and repave them and say we saved a bunch of money by just doing that. We like to look a little bit more in depth on long-term maintenance, replacing cross culvert pipes that might be failing, maybe reestablishing some ditch grades. And so them costs of doing just that little extra than just asphalt replacement tends to drive up the cost roughly about $250,000, $275,000 for a mile for just asphalt pulverize and repave. So if it was just pulverize and repave, it'd be much cheaper, but we like to incorporate additional things in with it. Currently in the 5-year capital improvement plan, we're anywhere between $4.5 to $5.5 million worth of work that we're planning for our capital projects. Our services, who receives them? We service a lot of towns. This list may be harder to read, but right now we plow snow for the town of Bear Creek, Caledonia, Dayton, DuPont, Fremont, Larrabee, Little Wolf, Matson, Muckwa, St. Lawrence, Union, Waupaca, Waupaca, Wyoming. And then we also perform or have service agreements with the village of Big Falls, Embarrass, Ogdensburg, village of Scandinavia, and a little bit in the city of Waupaca. And we also service many county departments. The courthouse here, where we plow that every snow event. So a little bit about how we try to balance or utilize our money. Capital projects, meaning full reconstruct or asphalt pulverize and repave, cost the most, and so it takes most of our county budget. We incorporate some of our budget for maintenance, and so you can see this green and yellow and red line. If you're to look at this as far as a chart, at the beginning of life, the road is brand new, and so it starts off its life right in the green category at the very beginning. Its condition is perfect. And along the way, that big light green box in the background represents us putting maintenance dollars towards our investment. These maintenance dollars may be anything from crack filling our roads to chip sealing our roads, pulling up the shoulders, repainting them, just the small end items that help preserve the life of this road in its early stages so it'll last longer. But over time, whether we like it or not, the roads tend to fail. The asphalt's giving up on us. The oils are drying up out of it. And it starts to slide into that yellow portion of the graph. This yellow portion of the graph represents maybe a little bit greater dollars are needed to replace that section of road, such as we're pulverizing it and repaving it. We're wedging and overlaying, replacing culvert pipes and ditching, more of our non-big capital projects, but a little bit more than just the typical maintenance. And then we get into the end of the life cycle of the road, which is represented in the red. We've gotten to the point where a 20-foot wide road just doesn't meet the traffic standards of today's needs of 22 feet. And so maybe the subgrade won't even hold a 20-foot wide road anymore. We do have some of these within Waupaca County. Them types of projects, we have to incorporate into a full replacement, which is the most expensive. So that's kind of where the red line represents. So we try to spend a little in maintenance, a little in construction, a little in paving, but ultimately, if we spend a lot upfront in preventive maintenance, maybe that 25-year road will move out to 35 years, or maybe even we're lucky enough to move it into 40 years. This is just a cycle or a graph that we also can use for our bridges. So you might see us doing polymer deck overlays in New London, doing another one this year. It's because we're trying to spend a little bit of money up front on serving these deck overlays, so we don't have to replace them later. Next. Yeah,
Yes, it's all in one. I'll check it out, see what's going on.
Our management strategy, I guess, is similar to maintaining your car. If you're doing your oil changes, and occasionally you might do a transmission flush and rotate your tires, that car is going to last a lot longer up front. If you're not doing your preservation type processes with your roads or bridges, you might be moving into the high dollar rehabilitation stuff with rebuilding your engines and replacing your transmissions and replacing your tires. And so that's kind of our strategy. It's a balance. Next. Our sign department, we have one foreman and 2 sign technicians. In their responsibilities, they're setting up detours. They're the guys out on Highway 10 trying to take traffic and move it into one lane so we can repair a concrete break. They tend to be the ones that respond to emergencies on our off-call hours. Very, very, very important part of our department, but not a lot of people. Next. Our bridge crew. So we're hired by the municipalities in Waupaca County to inspect the town's bridges, the village's bridges. They don't have to choose us, but we have a really solid bridge inspection crew led by a bridge foreman. Greg also holds the title of bridge operation manager for Waupaca County. He's the guy that ensures that our bridge team inspections take place. And we have such a good foreman right now that there's not a lot of weight on my shoulders, I think, or Greg's. But this bridge foreman, and he's constantly inspecting bridges and making recommendations for our department and for these townships. And then he also goes with his inspection team with the state of Wisconsin and helps them look at their bridge decks. We're trying to sell our services to keep us busy on the state system as well. So it's a good part of our staff, or it's an important part of our staff. Back to that photo. Talking about some of the bridges in here, the photo on the upper left is one that we've replaced while I've been here. That's the one by Bethany on County Highway E here in the city of Waupaca. The big one in the middle is the replacement on County Highway J, just north of County Highway C, west of Big Falls. And then in the smaller photos here, it's hard to see. Them are the 2 bridges that are going to get replaced in the year 2022. And so the bottom left one is the Double B Bridge, right off of Highway B north of Royalton, near Micklejohn Road. And then the bottom right photo is the Highway B bridge that's getting replaced in the village of Scandinavia, right where B and G intersect. A breakout of our equipment. We've got 37 non-plow trucks. That might be service vehicles, patrol vehicles, stuff that doesn't have capabilities of plowing snow. We've got 46 plow trucks. We don't use all of them every storm. Right now, we've gotten to the point where we've got 1 or 2 backups at every shop. If a truck goes down, we're not down any. The operator comes in, or if the truck has significant damage to it, we can have them sit in another truck and go out and continue plowing snow during a snow event. That's huge. Right now, we have 8 front end loaders, 8 graders, 8 mower tractors, 3 dozers, 3 excavators, 2 skid steers, 2 self-propelled brooms. A lot of them are used in the springtime for cleaning up the sand that we dumped out all winter. Shoulder machine, our asphalt paver. I say we have one right now, but truly we don't. Only because of the timing in that our last paver got sold on Wisconsin Surplus, and the new paver hasn't arrived yet, but we're gonna have one here soon. We've got 6 self-propelled compactors. A lot of them are for our asphalt paving crews or for compacting gravel or earth on our construction jobs. 2 tar kettles also have 2 routers for our crack filling, 3 portable pressure washers. The portable pressure washers are sitting at the outlying shop, so that's what they use to hose off their equipment at the end of the day. Or you might see it in the springtime when culverts are freezing and ditches are being blocked. We might be going out with those portable hot water pressure washers and steaming culvert pipes to make sure that the water can go through them. I like to brag a little bit about we're in our 5th year of rebuilding our own plow trucks. We bid out the chassis separate from what we bid out the box, separate from the winter package, and our crews are putting it all together. And why is that important? Because if we were just to bid out a truck and have that truck come to us turnkey, ready to go and plow, we're paying for about $30,000 in labor per truck to have someone else put it together for us. Whereas 5 years ago, we started doing it ourselves, and now you can guarantee that when a truck fails or we need to troubleshoot it because something is broken on it, our guys are able to fix it pretty quick because we built it, and we can put it together and put it back on the road quicker than possible, or quicker than farming it back out because we don't have the knowledge to do that work in-house. Our plow equipment, our plow trucks, are also the same trucks we use during the summer to haul our asphalt, our gravel. And so we try to keep them trucks chargeable year round. Just a little bit more about our highway department. I won't go in depth with this too much. I get to be a member of the Waupaca County Greenways Commission along with Lee Muck and Pete Vasquez. The Greenways Commission is in its infancy stages, and I know Ryan Brown, he's leading that charge. So I'm a part of that team. Next. Our highway department is an active member of the Wisconsin County Highways Association. And so if I need a change, or I just don't like the way the state is doing something, little Waupaca County just doesn't go to the state capitol and say, this is the change I want to see. We do it through an association, which is in a collaboration of all the other county highway departments. We are a member of the County Highways Association for lobbying and doing stuff down at the capitol. Our department administers the local road improvement program through the Wisconsin DOT. That's our staff in the office. Sue is a big part of that, along with myself and my other managers. Because the state hands out funds or grants to the towns, including ourselves, they can't administer all the legwork necessary to make sure stuff is done legally and morally correct, and the roads the right width, and the estimates were correct. So that's all handled within our department. Next. The National Association of County Engineers is just a federal level program. So if we want to lobby at the federal level, Waupaca County uses the County Highways Association. That County Highway Association then goes to the federal level for lobbying for change or more money or less money. I don't know. Usually it's never less. Next. All of our employees have had to go through the annual refresher on mine safety. And so we can enter Fulks pits, MCC's pits, any pit that has MSHA Part 46 plan. Our employees have to abide by that plan and be certified so they understand the hazards and rules of MSHA. We do that usually in the spring. COVID has allowed us to do it virtually, and so it's just a little different way of administering that refresher, but all of our employees go through it, minus a few accounting staff. Finding the work for our department is not challenging. There's a million things to do. We could be busy till we're turning blue in the face. It's just a matter of what level of service do we want to provide. Do we want to be out there with scissors cutting the grass? How detailed do you want to get? Most all of our employees are on call for snow plowing. We really, at an upper management level, need to keep subsidizing to a minimum. It easily could occur. It'd be easy for me to be the good guy to a town and say, no, we'll pay for that, or no, we'll have a $60,000 employee on our staff with a $250,000 plow truck, and if you want someone else to plow snow, that's no big deal. We have to really make sure that if we're gonna have them on our staff, their services are being utilized. Otherwise, there's no reason to have as many people as we have. And so that's a constant juggling act with the service agreements, which means them guys back there better be performing really good work with the services we provide. Next. Here's a few photos that I'm going to end the slideshow with. Our staff will go out to daycares or to school districts and give presentations on our equipment. Little kids like that. Picture of Justin. My little guy's in the middle there too, so this was a cool year for Easton. This last year we sent our newest plow truck through the Waupaca parade. Bruce Getch, he's also a city council member for the city of Waupaca, so he was pretty stoked to send a big new truck through there. Christmas parade. Here's a few photos of projects. On the left is County Highway P up in Jan's neck of the woods. Also with that grader, that's also on Highway P, and then we have the capabilities of almost doing everything besides replacing a full bridge. We're pushing that limit by replacing our own box culverts now, but we need help with the crane setting these heavy structures. Next. Here's a photo of County Highway N that got rebuilt last year from a distance, just east of Manaway. This photo is an older photo, and I'm kind of picking on Lee a little bit here, but it tells a story in that if many of our county roads go through these municipalities and villages, if we're going to perform work as a county highway department in this municipality and village, there's a 99% chance that there's parking lanes or underground sewer or underground water, or the city or that village wants to do something in conjunction with our highway department. Otherwise, we're mostly just responsible for the center 24 feet that go up the road. And so I'm occasionally reaching out to all these cities saying, hey, if you got something, let me know so I can incorporate it in my 5-year capital improvement plan. So the county's responsibility, and then the outside lanes, the city's responsibility, or the underground sewer, are all done at the same time. This photo was taken up on Division Street my second year here, my first 2017. It was a 2018. It was a multiple years with gas replacement. And Lee and Dick and Don Heisey and I were in that photo. So just a photo of a bunch of guys standing around, hands in their pockets. Yes. Occasionally, our department will go ahead and lease or rent equipment. We don't like to buy something that we occasionally use, but occasionally we need stuff that we rarely use. And so we find unique ways to get stuff done. This photo is a brush head that had been leased with, I think Fabric Cat helped us out with that one, and it basically cleared a lot of acreage of underground brush so that our guys were out there with chainsaws, and it went much quicker. But once we're done with this machine, we'll send it back, or we'll find out if the DOT needs to utilize it. The unique ways that we're purchasing equipment right now is a bulldozer, for instance. Last year, we leased a bulldozer with the option to purchase at the end of that agreement. And so it kind of split the cost of these very expensive pieces of equipment up. Our asphalt paver, you're looking at a $450,000 machine. We can't just buy that in 1 year without updating some of our truck fleet. And so this next year, we're paying down a portion of it, and then we're going to buy it with our final dollars with 2022. So really kind of finding unique ways to balance our equipment purchase budget, but yet still get the equipment on board over time. Our stock room is a very important part of maintaining our equipment's parts. We have, it's got to be well over $1 million worth of just stuff in our stock room, from tires to mufflers to I'm not saying that we have all this stuff, but when something goes down, you got to have the part to fix it, obviously, without keeping that piece of equipment out of service for too long. And during the winter, that's very important. So we have a very healthy highway department stock room. Next. Here's a good photo of two looking guys. And ultimately tip up. So I'm going to go over here to the tip up, and I'm going to pull this string because everything's functioning and everything's on board. And the county board has not done their justice, but have supported our highway department and given us the tools we need to operate with all these different functioning parts. And without your support, you're the boss of all of us, and what we do as far as policy wise, it kind of dictates how we proceed. And so with that, I don't think I have any more photos. That's it. I'll end with the measure of who we are is what we do with what we have. It's a quote I stole from the website, Vince Lombardi. So that concludes my presentation.
Do we have any questions for Casey?
Dan?
You touched on it. What is your safety record?
Our safety record. And so I wouldn't say that we could have ever went through an entire year without someone getting a bruise or a bump or rear-ended. Our safety record, I would say, is pretty dang good. With 70 employees doing everything that's tangible, from mechanics working on machine and underneath machines, to our employees out operating with if you added up the weight of our construction equipment, we're working around so much heavy equipment. We do have an occasional slip and trip falls to be our higher claims with someone climbing down the ladder on a loader. They might have did it incorrectly. Well, with that, we have a safety team, a highway safety team. So I have an employee out of New London, which is just an operator, one out of Helvetia, one out of Waupaca. My management staff sits on it. Supervisor McClone comes in, and twice a year, or maybe we're trying to move it up it's been quarterly, 4 times a year, quarterly, we sit down and we review all the incidents or accidents that are documented on a piece of paper, and we all sit down and say, what could we have done to mitigate that issue? What can we do to correct it? How much did it cost? What kind of discipline was, issued? And I'm going to try to sum it up in just saying that we have a safety team. We occasionally have accidents out on the highway where we get rear-ended by a semi, which has happened. Some of it's not controllable by our means. Knock on wood, we're doing all right. Are we perfect? No. Is any department doing the million different things we're doing perfect? I would say could be. That's what we strive to be. I guess that's my safety record speech.
For those of us that are recent members of our county board, and even we older people, what a great report this is. It's just great. We touched on everything and anything. But I have to tell you, about 4 years ago, I know the highway department really turned the corner. I'm sitting in my business office in Clintonville, and the phone rings about 4 and 3:30 in the afternoon, I think. And it was some lady from Big Falls, quite upset. We've got 2 county trucks going through and they're speeding every day. They're speeding. I said, you're kidding me? No. I said, well, I'll tell the highway commissioner, he'll look into it, which he did, because he can track their speeds and everything like that. And he said, yep, we did. And I couldn't wait to tell my old cronies we meet with, because they make fun of the highway department of years ago stories. Remember those old stories? And I knew things have turned the corner there when maybe they're speeding to get back to the shop to go home, huh? No.
Yeah, I know Fred and I have talked this about a lot. We get a lot of, why are there so many trucks going by my house with their plow down? Well, it isn't necessarily because that's the same operator going all day long. We might have 4 or 5 trucks going by one person's house all day long to get to Highway 96 and Caledonia and our own county steps. And so you'll see multiple yellow trucks, but it might not necessarily be the same truck every time.
It was during the summer.
Casey?
Yeah.
This is Joyce. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, go ahead, Joyce.
I don't know if there's a camera there today recording it, but I really think our constituents should see this presentation or hear you speak, because it was eye-opening. And I think they would appreciate it.
It will be on our YouTube channel, Joyce, for the Complete County Board, if you'd like to tell your people.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
And one other thing I want you to know about Casey, I happened to be in his interview when he applied here, and he's truly American, a true American. I want you just to tell them about your military experience, you just retired after 20 years and your tours of duty. That's big.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate to have all my fingers and toes in mind after serving in the National Guard of all places. But yeah, 20 years, a little over 20 years, retired now as a sergeant first class, served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Along with many other service members, I've met a lot of cool people and have a lot of neat stories, and proud to be part of the United States military.
In Iraq, you were building bridges, were you?
In Iraq, I oversaw, my big project was overseeing a power plant rebuild in Nasiriyah when the electrical infrastructure went down. They brought me as the leader in their team in with my security guys who had bigger guns than I did. And we met with the local Iraqis and talked about what we could do as a military to help secure their compound, and then generate a report and send it back to Bechtel in Texas. And then that report came back after multiple months of me scouring into Nasiriyah. And then they had all the information they needed. And then they came in as a private, more professional electrical engineering rebuilding company and fixed that Nasiriyah power plant based off of some of the reports we had, which there's weird things you run into. Who would have ever thought that I had been in Iraq and was part of identifying that the zebra mussels that come in from the Euphrates or the Tigris rivers were plugging the condensing units of this 440 megawatt power plant, you know, just the weird stuff that the military gives you these options to experience in life. It's all part of building who you are.
Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah.
We're proud.
Thank you.
Yes, Pat Graves got a question.
I don't have a question, I have a compliment. This, in my 25 years of being on the county board, is the best presentation of the highway department, which is one of our major budget things that we go through. And having been on the highway department, I know what you do. But this was, as Bill and Ted would say, a most excellent adventure for those of us who maybe didn't know what you did and how you did it. So I appreciate you and all of your staff that have made the presentation, as well as the employees who also do that day-to-day work. And because it's the winter season, I'll mention that one year, the plow driver did hit my box. I just saw it laying there. I didn't know he hit it because there's a lot of heavy snow on Highway 54, but he knew he had. And so someone came out and, you know, replaced it. So it isn't that everybody doesn't get service. They do get service, but there has to be the truck hitting it to qualify for replacement of the mailbox. But this, to me, getting back to your presentation, was really good. And I agree with Joyce. If there's some place we can get, say, scribble lots and lots of notes, you know, a place where you could put your PowerPoint online so that we could look at it and maybe print off some parts of it. I don't know if that's doable, but
we have our own website, so I can put it on the website, and then
Okay.
Jill will post it on avenues that she has, I guess, with Yacht.
Great.
I could even email it out to you as well.
Yes, good. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you, Nancy.
Thank you, it was a privilege doing this.
Thank you. Good luck to you. Okay, I think I saw our.
Chair, I'm going to recommend that we don't have the district attorney speak because it's out of order on the agenda. We passed her, so we would invite her back next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I apologize, I got the court.
Yeah, I understand, but I'm sorry that you will come back.
What's the date next month?
The 16th, March 16th. I can see if we have anybody else on there, but we'll try to work it out for you.
It might be April, I have a jury trial that week.
Sure.
Okay.
Apologies, Ryan. Well, we may have a jury trial.
Okay. Thank you very much. I apologize.
I'm apologizing. Thank you.
Okay, one thing on my report here. I received this in the mail from my good friend, the Allegheny County Board Chair, Jeff Nguyen. Jeff and I became good friends since we're on two different East Central Region Planning Committees together. And it's really great to work with Allegheny County. But he just sent this to me from his legislative services, And when I get done with this, I'm gonna send it to Mr. Questman, the Chair of Legislative Committee, and for him to look at, see what he thinks about this. I'll just read the page here, it doesn't go very long. He sent it to the Wisconsin County Board Chair, Jeff Union. Dear colleague, please find attached Allegheny County Board Resolution number 122, which passed last night in a vote by our board 31-3. If you're frustrated as I am with partisan bickering in Madison, which continues to leave local governments in the difficult position of attempting to combat this global pandemic without the benefit of comprehensive and consistent statewide approach, I encourage you to consider entertaining a similar resolution in your county. Throughout American history, the people of our nation has come together in times of crisis to combat common enemies. I remain dumbfounded that to date we have seemed unable to do so when it comes to COVID-19, despite it being one of the deadliest unseen enemies we've had ever confronted. This is not a partisan issue. The virus does not discriminate based on political affiliation. It is well past time for elected leaders to listen to our public health professionals and enact measures that reduce the spread of this disease so we can reduce hospitalizations and deaths until herd immunity is achieved through our vaccination efforts. Thank you for your leadership in your county government. I maintain that in our state officials could learn a lot from how we do things on a local level. Regards, Jeff Noonan, Allegheny County Board Chair. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Dennis and let his committee look this over and do what they want with it. So thank you very much. And that's all I have. So Joe, we got some appointments.
Yes, we do have some appointments. Let me see if I can get. Yeah, I apologize. Let me get to the right one. We have the emergency fire wardens recommendation submitted by the DNR for appointments.
Craig moves to approve.
So motion by Supervisor Craig.
Second to approve, Spearing.
And a second by Supervisor Spearing. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? That motion is carried.
Our next appointments are to approve our local emergency planning committee membership list, what was given to you before you in your packet as well as on the screen.
Is there a motion for approval?
Pullman to approve.
Okay, there's a motion by Vice Chair Pullman and a second by Mr. Murphy, Gary Murphy. Any questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried.
The third is to appoint Jaylene Hacklander and Martha Bailey to the news, it's the Fremont, Pat, help me.
Noy Schaefer.
Thank you. I was going to ask John how you pronounce that. Community Library Board for a 3-year term.
Their motion for her approval.
I'll move to approve.
So motion by Supervisor Zahn. Second by Supervisor Blair. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor of that motion say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, I just want to say one last thing here. You know, these presentations like Casey just did and we had last month by all our departments is so educating to not only the newer members but us too. It's great refreshing. Really, a lot of us didn't know what all happened at highway. I get a lot of calls from people, but mostly it's about highway. As our constituents all think that they know a lot about highway, what they're doing, they don't, neither do I. And every department we have are so important here at the courthouse. For some reason, our constituents have a lot of questions about highway to me. So, and maybe sometimes the sheriff's department too, but I send them right to the sheriff. So that being said, I entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Terry Murphy. And a second by Mr. Fred Zahn. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, we are adjourned.
you.